I don't know.
Yeah, we're already live. So if anyone is in here watching this live stream right now, and I don't know how many people are, I'm live with Cristian from the JCW Racing Team. Just finished his few rookie races. So you didn't start at the beginning of the year racing, but you did finish off the year racing.
Yeah, so I started in Sebring. There was a kind of I knew that there was a chance of me racing this season, but it was definitely up in the air after VIR, where we destroyed the TC car, and then we flipped the TC car, and then
based on
destroyed.
what I saw in the video, it looked like it flipped.
Yeah, and then destroyed the other TCA car. So that was where it got put up in the air. We weren't sure, but Sebring rolled around about, I think, 2 weeks before Sebring. I was actually working.
Mm-hmm.
In Laguna Seca, and I got a text from my dad that was like, "Oh, you might be running Sebring. Get ready." And I was like, "I don't know what that means, but okay." So, no, I didn't know I was running the race until we landed in Orlando the day before everything started. So I brought my suit and my helmet, but I didn't know I was running. I had never been in a race car before, like no track days, not even in my street car, just a very small amount of go-karting. Not like so the last
never been in a race car. Your dad says, "Hey, you're gonna be driving the race car."
Yeah. So it was no, like, and I hadn't done any wheel-to-wheel racing since 2019, and I only did 2 go-kart races in 2019. So it was all just pretty much sim racing and stuff like that. So
yeah, my last actual any kind of racing was autocross, and I took a 2006 Mini Cooper S through a slalom and came out the slalom backwards.
Don't know how you managed to do that, because
it kind of came out and then flipped back and then went completely around. So the photographer at the time made a GIF of my car, and you can see it like as it's spinning around. I'm like, okay, I just flat spinned an R53. How the heck did that happen?
Yeah, that's a hard one, isn't it?
Granted, that thing cornered on rails. I put in the cabrio braces in the engine bay of that car, and I was able to like go around corners like that. So
really,
it made it really fun.
My girlfriend has a 2010 Cooper, just base model, nothing special about it, but that thing handles like.
Well, you'd be surprised with the Coopers. There was one that was at Baron Mini for sale years ago. It was like a 2013 model. It was chili red, white roof, black mirrors, JCW appearance package with the silver challenge spokes, and a full JCW interior with the Recaros.
Really?
Manual transmission. It was $27,000, I think, at the time. And I was like, yeah, it's not turbocharged, but I'd drive it.
Yeah, I would drive it.
I just thought it looked great. I just thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, I would definitely drive that.
Well, because the thing with the base models, you can drive those within an inch of their life because you have to actually use the entire engine. There's no boost in there to get you going.
Yeah. No, hers is it's pretty much a dog. I like to call it a dog because it definitely does not move fast other than the corners. Like the corners, it can corner phenomenal, but straight line speed is not its forte.
Yeah, so straight line you can't get out of its own way, but in corners, yeah. Well, that's the way the old ones were. It's like you ever seen that video of the classic Mini racing the Mustang or something? It's like in the corners it catches up with the Mustang, and then in the straights it gets overtaken by the Mustang. So it's
I found a video on TikTok because I guess I am an avid user of TikTok. I'm guilty. I can spend way too many hours on TikTok, but no, I found a video of a stock Cooper S against I think it was a C6 Z06 in like the mountains. Oh my! I
took my glasses off because the reflection's all blue. So I was like I'm reflecting back on the screen. It doesn't look right.
No, but where the Mini is keeping up with this Z06 through the mountain and even in the straights, and it's a really good video.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So these cars behind you, the only thing I know about them is that they began life as base model Cooper S's.
Yeah. So, well, when we got the cars, I don't even think the JCW was out. We got them in January of 2015.
2015. So 2015 is the first year of the JCW. They just launched it that year.
Yeah, I don't think they gave us the JCW. I think that's what happened. We couldn't get the JCW because they had just put it out, right? So they gave us three Cooper S's, two are, well, one is here. That's one of the original
Hmm.
original Cooper S's. Um, we have, so wait, actually no, we had four. So we have the one TCA car that got totaled in VAR this year. Derek was driving, and then the other TCA car that got totaled at Road America when Mark was driving it last year are the other two, but they're both destroyed in their own sense. Derek's is fixable. Mark's is not. Sadly, it cracked the roll cage and put a hole through the firewall.
Oh,
When his accident happened in Road America, which was, we don't really I don't really know much about it. I just know
yeah.
he spun and hit a wall and damage happened. But
So this wasn't the JCW car. This wasn't like that JCW GP car. That was a completely different car.
yeah, that was a completely different car. And then we had got a fourth one in 2016. So we had 4.
Mhm.
That fourth one sat outside up until, hear this, out in the elements, no taillights, no windows, or no, it had windows, no taillights. Like, it was just a stripped F56.
Mhm.
I think that one, no, this one was our first actual JCW. So think about it. It's a brand new car. It had 16 miles on it, stripped completely, sitting out in the elements since 2016 up until this year. And that car was the one that we made the first TC car out of. So it didn't have a long life, I guess, on track. 16 road miles, and then
Yeah, obviously it was not salvageable.
two races in SRO. So
Yeah, so obviously it was not salvageable after that crash.
no. So I guess the positive in that is that we got to see how safe we can create these cars, and then we took what we learned from that crash and put it into the new TC car. So the new TC car is much safer than that car.
Now it looks like on the TC car, it looked like when I saw some pictures of it recently that you raised that the wing on the back of the car is up a little higher than it was last time.
Yeah, it might be, like, we didn't really have measurements to put the wing on, so we put it on, and then you have to do it within spec. So the wing can't be higher than the roof line.
Yeah.
So they changed. I think they might have changed the rule. They always are changing the rules a little bit after every race. But
Yeah.
no, this thing mechanically is really good. We just fight gremlins because we're trying to make a bunch of power with it.
And judging by why you keep looking over there, I'm assuming the car is like right next to you.
Yeah, no, it's right here, and then the Crash TC car is over there. So it's like they're all around me.
Yeah. So the yellow one behind you is one of the ones you raced.
Yeah. So I raced this one in Sebring, and then I raced the orange one in Indy.
Yeah.
Because that's technically Clay Williams, not his car, but it's the one he runs.
Yeah.
So I had to give that back to Clay for Indy.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's not yellow underneath that.
No, it is red. It's probably
Red.
black, actually, because we've had to replace multiple quarter panels on that thing.
I've seen pictures of those on Instagram. It's like, another crash. Let's replace some body panels.
Yeah, and we don't it's crazy. Like, I don't know. It's kind of easy. You would think it would be hard with a new era car to do body work and like to fix frame damage, but we have a body bench here, and you just cut the piece, weld it back on, and it's pretty much good to go. So,
well, after installing the front chin on that air dam on the front bumper on my car, I've had to take one off, put a new one on the back of my car when I was putting the diffuser on. I actually could not get that centerpiece off the rear bumper. I ended up having to cut the tabs off with a Dremel so I could pop that thing off so I could put the diffuser on. At the end of the day, I was like, okay, I have this panel now that I can't use. I just tossed it in the trash.
yeah.
It's like, well, I can't use that now. But those things are like overbuilt. The way the body panels are all put together is like they were overbuilt or something.
Yeah, they're way overbuilt. But I guess that goes into the car's safety, right? The car is extremely safe.
Yeah.
Even the road car is. Well, we've all seen the one picture. It's not even an F series car. I think it's an R. I don't even know what it was. But it was the car that T-boned the Tahoe, and the Tahoe flipped over.
Yeah.
The Mini was.
That being said, I can speak from experience. These cars are incredibly safe. I was in not brand new. It was 2013 R56 Cooper S JCW tuning kit, the JCW gauge pods, punched leather interior, manual transmission, iced chocolate exterior color, which was incredibly rare. They only had it for 4 years.
Oh, God.
And I was going to a Cars and Coffee, and I didn't look as I was pulling through a stop sign. I got T-boned by a GMC Sierra or like HD.
Oh God!
Like he hit me forward of the front wheel, and just flung me completely around, ripped the entire front end of the car apart, basically.
Oh God! Luckily, I haven't had to test. I'm not trying to jinx myself. Knock on wood.
Yeah,
I haven't had to test the safety of any of these cars.
Because these cars are solidly built, so with a roll cage in them, they're even more solid.
Yeah, and even my road car, I drive an F55, and F55. This has to be a 1-of-1. I think it's a 1-of-1. I don't think anybody has done this. So it's an F55, which they only make that in the Cooper S.
Yeah.
So technically now it's a JCW 4-door because it has the JCW front bumper, rear bumper, intercooler, radiator, the power. It doesn't have a JCW tune, but it has the power. It has
the JCW horsepower.
Yes, but it has the exhaust. It has the big brakes. It has
Well, see, I know they can do. I've seen people do this. They can do the JCW tuning kit on an F55, and they can do the big brakes on them too. I've seen someone get the brakes on the big brake kit onto the F55 JCW or F55 Cooper S. But I knew they could do the JCW tuning kit because they did that, or tuning kit and appearance package, because they did the appearance package all the way up until the 2022 model year, and now you can't get it in the US.
Yeah, but I've never seen another one. Like
the fact that you have one that's like a JCW engine makes you wonder, what were they building there?
Yeah, I know. So technically, like pretty much the Cooper S, the JCW engine are the same. I think it's just compression is a little bit different.
Yeah, I think they were originally different up until 2020 model year. 2019 and earlier, they were B48 for the JCW, B46 for Cooper S. And then 2020, they switched over completely to all B46 for Cooper S and JCW.
Yeah, but the engine is like stupid reliable.
Yeah, they changed the tuning on them. And I can speak from experience on reliability. I got 90,000 miles on my car now.
90,000.
I bought it last year with 45,000 miles on it in March. I do dealership inventory photography as my job, so I drive all over the place, and it's now at 90,000 miles.
Like mine has 23. It just went over 23,000 miles today.
I wish I had 23,000 miles on mine. That being said, I looked at the value of my car right now if I were to sell it, and it's almost worth. I think it's actually worth more than what I paid for it.
Yeah, so that F55 with all the stuff and 23,000 miles and the maintenance, we don't take it to the dealership because we do it here.
No, obviously.
So
the dealership would have your shop right there.
Yeah, I know. We took it to the dealership once. I am not trying to talk bad about any mini dealerships. I think they're all phenomenal. We just had stuff happens.
Yeah,
you've been around dealerships probably. Mistakes happen.
I regularly go to Barron Mini up in KC all the time, and I've never had any bad experience. There's only one time where it was like I had an R55 Club in my first one. It was a 2011 Cooper. I was leaving the service drive, and as I leave the service drive, I hear one of the technicians yells like, "Hold on!" And I stop, and the minute I stop, my oil light comes on. I'm like, what just happened? And apparently the car went Exxon Valdez all the way down the service drive.
Oh God.
So he immediately stopped it. They said, turn it off. They rolled it. They pushed it back into the shop, refilled it with oil, fixed what happened. Apparently one of the O-ring for the oil cap had split. Or the oil pan for the oil pan. Yeah, whatever they did. They put in the plug. They put a new gasket in there, plugged it back up, put oil back in, and it was fine. But they caught it before it had left the drive.
At least they caught it, right?
But
the mini dealerships are phenomenal, and the techs that come from them, because we use the techs. We do the techs come to us per race weekend to the locations that are close. I know
of one in particular from Cincinnati Mini.
Yeah, Larry Schultz.
Larry, yeah.
Oh no, me and Larry are pretty good friends.
No, he's awesome. He's given me ideas for my car when I was trying to get wheel and tire things, try to get all this stuff figured out for my car. So I have the new speed wheels that look just like the ones on your car up there, except mine are 17 by 7.5 because that's the only ones they make for the Mini. I talked to someone who has 17 by 8s out in California. I'm like, well, how did you get 17 by 8 new speed wheels? And he said, Oh, I called the guy who runs the company. I just asked if he can custom make them. I'm like, so you one-offed a set of wheels. So what did they do? They like, oh, they just bored the hub on. They just took a Volkswagen wheel and bored the hub bigger.
Oh my gosh!
Like, why didn't I think of that?
Wait, so do the Volkswagen like GTIs and the Minis have the same bolt pattern? Because it's probably a weird German.
They have the same bolt pattern, but the Volkswagen has a 56.1 hub, and the Mini has a 66.56, 66.6 hub. And what was the other one? Actually, I did find out that a 17x8 45 offset Audi S4 wheel will fit on a Mini.
I think I should do that. I think because we have tons of wheels here, and this is going to be my first winter with a Mini.
Mm-hmm.
And I need a different wheel, so maybe I should make some people mad and put an Audi wheel on a Mini. Okay, I'm sorry. I love all my Mini fans and all the Mini owners, right? But I do like to be like unique or just make people really mad with what I do to certain cars. And
well, there's a BMW or there's a Mini Roadster. Have you ever seen? It's a Roadster and a coupe. They're a pair. Gigantic rear wheels on them, massive blowers on the hoods.
Oh yeah.
The rear, they're lowered at the front. They both have manic tunes on them. They both have 300 horsepower apiece. They're beastly little cars. I've driven both, and they're beastly little cars. I know the owner of them. They're currently both sitting in the Mini showroom at Barron because there's no cars on the lot, so they need something to put in the showroom. So they have these two huge cars sitting there. The Roadster has BMW wheels on the back right now.
Yeah.
But that being said, what the sales manager at the dealership does have a BMW 3 Series sedan. I think it's a 2000 3 Series. And the wheels that he's put on his car in the summertime are Countryman wheels, JCW Countryman wheels. And the thing is, they look really good. They look
they most likely look phenomenal, but
and it's the same hub. So I actually had early on, I had wheel spacers on my car. When I had my track spoke wheels, I had wheel spacers on my car that were actually for a BMW i8.
No way.
Yeah, because I ordered them. The company that made them was called Michelin. So they were German wheel spacers. And I bought these. It's like I needed a good wheel spacer I knew was going to work right. So I put these things on the car, and I'm like, wow, they actually fit. So
I think like we use what is it, ECS or something like that spacers, and I really like those. But I think for next year or next summertime, like I have the JCW whatever wheels on my car. I forget. Like there's two different sets of JCW.
There's an 18
wheels,
inch and a 17 inch.
Yeah, I have the 18s, but I think I'm just gonna go with a different wheel, I think it may be like an actual wheel, a real wheel, I guess. I'm not a wheel freak. I know people that are wheel freaks. I just want a wheel that looks good on it. And
hey, maybe Newspeed could work out something with you and create a wheel just for your car.
Yeah. The only thing I struggle with right now is that I rub pretty much not all the way around, but I rubbed on my coilover, so I had to put a 5 mil spacer in the front because I had Continental Extreme Super whatever contacts.
Extreme contact.
The tire is good to a T. Don't let it sit in the winter. We learned our lesson with that. We let the car sit outside during the winter in 2019 to 2020. We go to drive. I am now driving the car, and like the tires were just so bad. And I'm not even driving the car hard. And like I can hear them squeal or understeer, and I'm like, okay, that's not right.
Yeah.
So we got Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, which are phenomenal tires.
That's what I use.
But they're just a little bit wider than what they say they are, so it rubbed about that much, just enough for me to say, oh, I need spacers.
Yeah. We'll see what I did that was kind of silly is I have 18 by 7.5 and I have 17 by 7.5. I initially had two 15/45 17s on my 17-inch wheels because those were slightly larger in the stock tire size and it looked good on the stock wheels. They looked small on the 17 by 7.5 wheel. So I decided to do 225/45 17. Now on a new speed wheel for 40 offset, they fit perfectly, providing I don't put a rear spacer on. Because I had a 5 millimeter rear spacer because the rear end of the car, the body of the car is like 10 millimeters wider at the back than it is at the front, so it like tapers, and I didn't like the look. So I ended up not doing that because when I finally put the spacers on, it was just like rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. I'd like ended up shaving off the inside of the wheel arch just from
No way.
the car. So then I put 18 by 7.5. Now the problem is they're OZ wheels. 18 by 7.5. They don't seem to understand that you can do a wider offset. So they do 50 offset. And I'm like, I didn't want 50 offset. I wanted like 48, 45. Not 40, because that would be ridiculous, but like 45 maybe. And so I ended up having to get spacers because when I put the 225/40 18 tires on that car, and they're all Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, when I put them on that car, they actually they cleared fine on the rear. They rubbed the strut just enough at the front that I could tell that I was rubbing. So I had to so I finally was like, okay, I need to put wheel spacers on. I ended up buying wheel spacers from Dynan, of all places.
Oh gosh. Okay, nothing against Dynan. I'm not against Dynan, but my heart was first with Mitsubishi. Like I own a second gen Eclipse, the 4G63T, so the turboed one. Dad was a mechanic for Mitsubishi, right? And then when I got introduced to the Mini world, it was, oh, Dynan is this and that and bad. And I know they got a bad reputation. Everybody gets a bad rep once or twice, right? Yeah. I think they have worked through that. This new tune that they put out seems phenomenal. I haven't heard anything bad about it yet. I don't think we will. I think the car will save you before it blows up.
Yeah, I had a Dynan. I've used Dynan. I tried using Dynan Elite. So I had a Cooper S Dynan Elite. I had the JCW tuning kit on my car. So I tried the Cooper S Dynan Elite. It worked fine for about 3 months. Then I got a check engine light, and I'm like, what the heck is that? So I scanned it. I had it scanned, and it said excessive boost pressure. I'm like, where's that coming from? So I looking in the engine bay, checking for air leaks or something, checking out, make sure all the hoses are tight. Maybe there's a leak somewhere. I'm like, okay. So I cleared the code. It came back the following day. I cleared the code. It came back a week later, cleared the code. And then it seemed like it would come on every time I floored the car.
Would it still give the car boost though?
Yeah. It was still giving it correct boost. And apparently the problem was the car was detecting excessive boost.
Yeah, so I've had that problem with the F55. We tune our own cars. We have pretty much, what is the Dynan? Just a little box that you plug in, pretty much. So
it's
that's
a box what we with extra sensors that
So we've had that. Not trying to put Dynan down, but we've had that since 2015. Yeah, we were the first people to have that and put those on our minis. It's just how in IMSA we had to make boost to be competitive. Mm-hmm. The Cooper S, our JCW itself was already competitive, but we were running against the bigger BMWs, the Porsche Cayman, all these pretty beastly cars, which the Mini was totally able to keep up with, but those were making more power. They had built engines and we didn't, so we had to make power somehow. So we have these, I don't think we even run them on our cars now, but we have a boost box, or my car did, and it was good. And I was making probably right around where the Dynan box is making now for people, with 100 octane, what is that, 100 horsepower gain or something like that.
I was getting, with the Cooper S box, I was getting 250 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, so
with the JCW box, I was getting 270 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, so mine was the original, the base tune that we pretty much had on the car was 250, right around there. The max tune we've had on it, which was more recent, was 310 horsepower, which but the problem I have with the car, or I had with this boost box, it malfunctioned to where I would put 25% throttle in, and it would send the car to say, oh, it's 100% throttle.
Ooh.
Oh, it was ugly. I would have my
sprint booster.
Yeah, I would have my girlfriend in the car, and she's like, "Stop driving like that." And I'm like, "I'm not driving like that." I was like, "It's the car." She's
I think maybe the reason I was having issues with the Dynan possibly might have been because I had a sprint booster in the car and I had it set to race. Mm-hmm. So you touch the throttle and it goes off down the street.
Yeah.
Barely tap it goes off down the street.
And then I would always have, it was fine in normal, just mid mode. I would put the car in sport mode, and the boost box and sport mode did not like each other because I'm pretty sure it was already sending the signal for it to go faster already. and then you put it into sport mode where the car's like, oh, I'm going to go fast, which really I don't think it ups the boost, but I'm pretty sure it just sends a signal faster from the throttle pedal and the pops and bangs, which I like.
What's funny about those engines is that same engine, you put it into a BMW 3 Series sedan and it gets like 250 horsepower.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't you just give that 250 to the minis? Give the minis 250 horsepower.
We can make 300 off of that JCW engine, no problem with just
300 on a JCW engine with a manual.
Yes, and like the problem we've ran into also with this 300 horsepower, these people I'm not trying. Also, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to discredit anybody here, but I see the people making 330 horsepower on their F56. Go try and take a corner with that car and make the power. You're not going to make it. The car has too many safety features. It has this one safety feature where it's like if you put 45 degrees of angle of the steering in, it's not going to give you the boost to make 300 horsepower because it knows you're going to kill yourself in the middle of the corner. And whose fault is it going to be? Minis.
Yeah, but let's boost our car. Let's tune our car to that high horsepower and let's go drive on the Dragon.
You're not going to make it. You're going to make it in a straight line, but you're not going to make it you're not going to be any faster than
you won't be going around a corner. You'll be going into a tree, but you won't be going around a corner.
Yeah, so that's what I struggle with also with some of these people that are like, oh, I make all this power. Like, you have to make it sensibly. Yes, it can go fast in a straight line, but if you're a true mini owner or a true you like to drive, it's about corners, not about going faster in a straight line.
Yeah. Now
I'd rather go faster around a corner than in a straight line.
Yeah, the thing is, I know someone who wants to get more horsepower out of their JCW, and they can't get it right now because the 2021s and 2022s, they locked out the ECUs from the factory, so they can't code, they can't like break the code or anything like that, so they can't tune them. He installed like a race chip tune. It worked perfectly on his last JCW. The car
not going to work on the new one.
The new one, the car, he had a 2019 JCW. His 2021 JCW, the car detuned itself when the chip was plugged in. Like after like 3 months, it actually tuned itself down.
Yeah, the cars are smart enough to do that. They're not foolproof anymore. You cannot mess with them. You can't go to the mini dealership and say, "Hey, my car's messed up." They know when you put a tune on your car. The ECU knows. Well, it will just give it right back to them. You can't be like, oh, my warranty. No, we know you put something on this car.
See, right now I have the JCW tuning kit. I don't have the Dynon on the car anymore, and I don't even have the Sprint booster on the car anymore. I just have the JCW tuning kit, and I have the JCW Pro exhaust. So I have 210 horsepower. I think it's like 235 torque even with that. So I got almost JCW power. I just don't have like that extra 18 to get it to right at factory JCW.
Yeah. But I feel like the power I'm making, which with that thing right now, I think is probably similar to what you're making. I am completely fine. I don't want the 300 horsepower. I drove with it for about a week, and I said, this is way too much for the street.
Yeah,
there's too much traffic. Like, I go way too fast, way too quickly, or like I'm getting up to traffic, and it's boosting, and it's like, oh, I got to slow down now, and... So
like I got onto the road. I turned the corner, leaving the dealership to get onto the road, and I just launched it, and it's already kind of chilly outside, and cooler weather turbos love that.
Yeah.
So the car felt like it had more horsepower when I took off down the road. But what's funny is lately my car has been getting into this thing where it will chirp its tires in second gear and doesn't even throw a traction control light or anything like that. It used to do that. And I would hit second gear, and it just goes, and I'm like, what the? It's nothing.
Yeah, the traction control in these cars is a little weird. Like I kind of like it, but it does cut power a lot, and I think, the car is weird. It throws it sometimes, it doesn't other times. So
the other thing, actually, I do kind of. So a lot of people complain about the automatic rev matching, and I kind of enjoy it.
Oh, it's awesome! What do you mean? I look like a pro driver out there on the street when I have. Like for work, where I work right now at another race team, like I kind of help out with driver relations also, helping them get helmet stuff. And so I was driving just recently a kid from Italy that has been running FIA F2 and F3 like kid could be in F1 and he sits in the Mini, and we're going down the street, and I downshift like from sixth to fifth to fourth to third, all in just like that. And he looked at me and he goes, "Did you just heel and toe that whole thing?" And I go, "Yeah, yeah." No, I was like, "No, the car does it for you." He goes, "You could go from sixth to third and it doesn't like freak out?" And I go, "No." He goes, "This thing's pretty cool." And that's coming from a kid that's driven almost the top open wheel cars in the whole world.
I think people kind of underestimate the Mini. It's a car. Even the newer ones, like people like to. There's a lot of people I've met out there that like to dog the current ones because the styling is just not there. It's like, oh, it's too long in the nose. It's too this. It's too that. And I'm like, have you driven one?
Yeah, that's what I ask everybody when they're like, the Mini's slow and the Mini can't do this. I go, have you driven one? And they're like, no. And I'm like, then drive one. Go to your local Mini dealership. Yeah. Don't hoon their cars, but like go take one for a test drive.
Well, see, my most fun I took out a launch edition 2020 JCW Clubman, took it down the highway, and that thing was incredible.
Okay, that has to be. I have driven it. So my dad's company car is the JCW Clubman with the 300 and something horsepower, has the same engine as the GP.
Yeah.
All this. That has to be the best Mini out there. Better than the GP. I'm saying, me personally, I think it's better than the
Well,
GP.
see, the thing is, they said it's the fastest. They said it has the fastest quarter mile, or not quarter mile, 0 to 60. It's 4.6 seconds, which is faster than the GP3. The GP3 has a higher top speed, but they said, oh, it has a higher top speed than the JCW Clubman. But the JCW Clubman, that people forget, the JCW Clubman is electronically limited to 155. Yeah. Well, you take that limiter off, it could probably hit 190.
Yeah, I don't know what is the top speed of the GP3.
Top speed of the GP3 they said is 165, and I know someone who actually got it up to about 163.
So that's fast. Also, another thing is that top speed wise, the Cooper S is like 5 to 10 miles an hour faster than a JCW top speed wise, which I think is awesome because everybody dogs. I've talked to people that are like, oh, it's just a Cooper S. I'm like, hold up. You know that thing's faster than your JCW at top speed, which I'm not saying going 155 on the street, but top speed wise, and it has longer gears than your JCW because the transmission in a JCW is different than a Cooper S.
Yeah, well, when I had my R56 Cooper S with the tuning kit, that car, I was like, why is this thing so much fun to drive? And everyone said, oh, yeah, all the Cooper S's have better low-end torque than the JCWs. JCW at 70 miles per hour and up can kick the Cooper S's butt. But from 0 to 70, the Cooper S is right there.
Yeah, no, that's why, that's also what I really love about Mini. And, they don't talk about it. They're not going to tell you all these specs, but, it's always almost showing its underdog performance throughout its line of cars. I don't know how the Cooper is. I haven't driven a new Cooper.
Coopers. My thing with the Coopers, I've driven the Cooper I really liked. I drove a 1499 GT. The Cooper, because we don't get the driving modes in the U.S. anymore. In the UK, they get driving modes for those cars. We don't get them in the U.S. anymore. So the Cooper needs a manual transmission to really be fun to drive. With the DCT, I don't know how I've managed to do it. I've stalled it several times with the DCTs.
How?
Well, in my car, I put in reverse, get out of the parking space, immediately put it in gear, and go. And in that car, you try to do that, and it will actually stall.
Yeah, but
it's basically an automated manual. It's the DCT is made by Getrag, the same company that makes the manual transmission makes the DCTs for the Mini.
Yeah, I love the manual transmission. I haven't driven an automatic one other than the JCW Clubman, which that gearbox is phenomenal for what it is. And it's nothing. What is it? A dual clutch?
The JCW Clubman uses an 8-speed sport automatic made by Aisin,
but it shifts extremely fast for what it is.
Yeah, it's a really.
I've heard its maintenance cost is way lower than a dual clutch, which everybody was worried about because it was some 8-speed weird, not weird, but new gearbox to the Mini lineup. And I heard a lot of other Mini owners saying that they were worried about the maintenance prices for transmission flushes and stuff like that.
Which is kind of funny given that the 8-speed, I don't know if it's the same 8-speed, but they've had an 8-speed transmission in the Mini for the all 4 models since 2016 when the new Clubman came out. So they've had an 8-speed automatic. I think this one's just a higher performance version of it.
Yeah.
But what the JCW Clubman has now that the rest of them don't have is the JCW Clubman has a mechanical front differential as well. So it now has a proper differential in there, even though it's an 8-speed automatic. That thing is just a missile going down the road. And if I had to buy a JCW Clubman, as much as I would love to find like an F54 Clubman with a manual, a JCW Clubman with a manual, I wouldn't mind the JCW Clubman with the 300 horsepower.
Yeah. See, so like so my next car or my next Mini will most likely be a Clubman. I'm not trying to start a family anytime soon, but I love the Clubman and I love how it looks. And they make a JCW not with 300 horsepower, but they make it a manual. And I found one in nearly the same gray my car is in, which I haven't seen any other Mini in that gray. I don't know what it's called, with like all the JCW stuff. And I fell in love with this car. So now that's my car to obtain. Now, see, might be a little hard in the future, but I will get it somehow.
Now, see, before I bought my car I currently have, I almost bought, it was a 2017 Cooper S Clubman All-4 with a manual in pure burgundy.
Burgundy?
Pure burgundy, and I think it had the black pearl cloth interior. I can't remember for sure. It had checkered flag side scuttles on it. It was a pretty car. It was a pretty car. And I'm like, it had a manual transmission, all-wheel drive. I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. I could put a tuning kit on that thing, and it would just be a little missile.
Yeah, we actually have one in our parking lot. We have a customer's car that's in getting some service from us. That's a manual all-4 Clubman Cooper S, which I didn't know they made a manual one until I sat in that car, and then I did my searching. And then I found the JCW manual Clubman, and I was like, that is what I need.
And see, for the longest time at the Mini dealership, they had a service loaner. It didn't sell. It was a melting silver all-4 Countryman, Cooper S all-4 Countryman with a manual transmission and a JCW tuning kit. And the car sat there because no one wanted it for some reason. I think it's only because it had the halogen headlights. I think that was the only reason. That car became a service loaner. And that was my favorite service loaner whenever I took that thing out, because they swapped out the 17-inch pin spoke with the black ones for silver, like I call them grandpa spec wheels, old man spec wheels. It was the most unassuming little crossover utility vehicle on the road. Like, you just drive down the road, it's like, oh, just a little SUV, push the little button, it's now this little rocket ship.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Countrymans are growing on me currently. I don't know if it's one of Mini's more popular cars, and I see a lot more of those on the road here than like a Cooper S 4-door or a Cooper S 2-door, right? They're growing on me. I think they're really cool. I think if I probably had a family and I couldn't afford a Clubman or didn't want the size of a Clubman, I'd probably get a Countryman.
Yeah.
It just has to go on me.
Well, see,
I think it will. And the new one's coming out soon, right? The 2023.
I did a video recently. I did a live stream earlier. There's spy photos of the test car for the 2023 Countryman being driven around right now, and it looks really different. But at the same time, you can still see some of the hallmark stuff that's identifiable as a Mini. And I looked at the vehicle. I'm like, the shape of the headlights looks different. Everything else looks different. I'm like, but the roof, the greenhouse, the roof, everything there says Mini. I mean, there's no way you could mistake that for anything else. Like, that has to be a Mini. So which one is it?
Yeah,
and that's what we're trying to figure out. But I know someone who ordered he's one of the hosts for White Roof Radio. He ordered a JCW Countryman, and he's going to lower it. So that's what I like. I saw actually on the road. I was getting off the highway here to come into town, and I saw the smaller Audi SUV on bags on the stock wheels, slammed. And I was like, that's like what I want to see. Like, I want something like that. Or like I see people doing with Honda CRVs, like the older ones, where they slam them also. But I saw parked outside of a Jeep dealership the other day an Audi SQ5, and it was lowered. It was like on 20-inch wheels, and it was lowered. And I'm like,
they look good though. That's the.
I'm like, it looks good that way.
Like, I wouldn't buy the car stock because I don't like how it looks stock, but it lowered looks phenomenal.
Well, the funny thing is that when they lower the country, when you lower like a Countryman, I've seen several with lowering kits on them. When you lower them, it looks less like a crossover and looks more like a hot hatch.
Yeah, no, that's.
And at that point, because I mean, when people don't realize that the Countryman is about the same size as a Golf R.
Yeah, I know. Even though the Golf R's or the Golfs are getting bigger and bigger, but so I like the Golfs also. Like,
Yeah,
I think my favorite GTI has to be the Mark V. I don't know what it is about the Mark V. Everybody thinks it's like the ugliest GTI, but
I
I
don't
think it has
know.
more characteristics with a Mini than
See, I
anything.
like the Mark IV. My mom, when I was a little kid, we lived in Germany. My mom had a Mark II GTI,
That's
and
awesome.
they had just gotten larger than the original Mark One Rabbits. They weren't called the Rabbit anymore. They were called the Golf, and it was a Golf GTI, and it was black with red pinstriping. It had the plaid seats inside, manual transmission, no air conditioning because in Germany at the time you didn't need air conditioning. And that was a cool car. That was a really cool car. Those the second gen Golfs in GTIs in general are incredibly hard to find. For that matter, so were the first gens. Those are just becoming really rare.
Yeah. I guess my best friend and the guy that works here, his name is Jackson. He he is the one that has got me into these GTIs. I don't think I will ever buy one, but his love for like his I would say it's almost like an obsession. He doesn't even own one, but he loves the car so much. Like the Mark IVs with a VR6 in it, like that is his cup of tea. And so like he has got me on this like weird affinity for GTIs where I'm like, that's a really cool, unique car in a certain spec, right? With like their VR6 engine where it sounds amazing and makes
Yeah.
pretty good power and it's just like a little bit of a unique car. I know everybody gets a GTI, like the basic car guy that's like, oh, I'm into cars gets a GTI, but there's some
Well,
really
if I had
unique
to, if my like my thing is if my only options were a Golf GTI or Golf R, whatever, or like a Focus RS, I may go for the Focus RS just because it's a kind of unique thing. I mean, it's a Ford built in Germany with a manual transmission and all-wheel drive. I mean, that seems something unique. You get it to a Volkswagen, it's like, oh, it's built in Germany, it has a manual and it has all-wheel drive. Like, okay, well, most German cars are built in Germany and have manuals with all-wheel drive. There's something
yeah.
kind of unique in that aspect. But when you get over to the minis and it's a completely different ball game because there's nothing out there that you could like. Everyone's like, oh, you could. There are people that cross shop minis of like all sorts of things. I'm like, you can't cross shop with this car because they aren't the same car. There's nothing identical about these two cars. You could cross shop a Golf R with a Focus RS with a Audi S3 or RS3 with all these other things because they're all similar cars. The Mini is just in this because it's in a different category in the U.S. market anyway. Doesn't fit in any of those.
Yeah.
You go over to the UK and you go over to Europe, and of course, there's tons of little hatchbacks the size of the Mini that all have the same horsepower, same performance, and then it's just a matter of which one you want to drive.
Yeah, that's like one of the reasons I would love to like maybe live in Europe for like 3 years. Hopefully, my racing career takes off to maybe I can definitely where I started my new job. There might be an opportunity there.
Yeah.
No hints. There's the McLaren Drivers Academy in Europe. Definitely not hinting at where I got a job at, but
maybe he'll run into Frank Stevenson. I hear
or Zach Brown or something like that. But no, there's a lot of those hot hatches there in Europe that I think are awesome. Or also Jackson. This kid has a weird obsession with just cool hot hatches that you wouldn't think of. I think it's the Vauxhall Astra or something like that.
Oh, really?
What do you mean?
The Vauxhall Astra. We had it in the U.S. from like 2008 to 2009. It was the Saturn Astra.
But like basically. They made a hot hatch of it. They made a.
Oh yeah, they had the XR, but still, it was kind of like eh.
No, I like it. I think
it's a Vauxhall.
But he also likes Mazda Speed 3. So like that car and that car are like the same exact thing.
Yeah, Mazda Speed. Now here's the problem with Mazda. Mazda has an all-wheel drive Mazda 3. They have a manual transmission Mazda 3, but they won't. And they have a turbo Mazda 3, but they won't. But they won't put like all three together to create a turbo all-wheel drive Mazda 3.
Have you seen how expensive the turbo Mazda 3 is, though? It is definitely not worth its price tag. I am sorry, Mazda, but it's definitely not worth it.
The thing with Mazda is it's kind of a niche brand in a way because they build certain cars and they just keep building that same car for a while. Like I think their Mazda 6 sedan still has a 4-cylinder engine and it's had that for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So
I still think they're a cool car company, but they have to get back to their more of their like sportier side.
Well, did you hear what they're doing with the Mazda MX-5?
No.
It's going to have a hybrid engine in its next model year.
Oh, so it's going to be even slower than it already has been.
I don't know. I heard they're doing a lot of stuff like that. Like Ford, like knocked 10 horsepower off the Mustang.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, why?
It's just all. It's like we're back into that. What was it in the 70s when they started?
Oh, the energy. It was like a fuel crisis, basically.
And then they started making those cars.
Yeah.
Less horsepower.
That's how you ended up with like an 80
It's almost like we're going back into that. That's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, it's how you ended up with like an 80 horsepower Mustang 2 and like a 178 horsepower Corvette.
Yeah, I know. And those are like, I'm sorry, I do not like the first couple gens of the Corvette. Everybody else loves them. Like I live in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
So it's the most basic, like, not car scene. We don't have a very basic car scene, but like the car guys that are like into Corvettes and their dad owns a Corvette. They're like, the first gen Corvettes are so good looking. I'm like, no, they're not. I was like, I get why people I like a Mini, and people question me for that. But I'm like, some of these cars are just like so.
Well, the first gen Corvette, we're going back to the original Roadster, aren't we? Like,
yeah, and I just don't know. It's just not a good look. I don't like it. I like boxy Lego bricks on wheels, pretty much, which is the GTI and the Mini.
Well, in that case, the Mini's perfect. As a friend of mine once said, the problem with the Mini and the reason why we get rock chips in the front of our cars and we get cracked windshields all the time is because the Mini has the aerodynamic characteristics of a brick.
That's literally what we say here at the race team. But they're a lot more aerodynamic than you would think. I think definitely a lot more with the new gen of the Mini. Because I think it's more sleek and more round and not so flat everywhere.
Yeah, wait until you guys have to put the facelift front ends on those cars.
So I don't think we're going to have to. I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm not denying. I think it looks good. It had to grow on me because I thought it looked like a goatee at first, like everybody else did.
That's what everyone said. I think and I harkened back in a post on Instagram. I did a thing. It's like there was a little video. Someone was talking about there was an episode of Top Gear when they were designing the electric car, and he had this mood room. Jeremy had this mood room. He's like, "Hey guys, has anyone ever built a car from a mustache?" And they were like, "No." So he like turns around, has the mustache on his face. So I faded it out to the picture of the front of the Mini Cooper.
I'm pretty sure it was Larry Schultz's wife that said something on Facebook. The first person I saw that said it was like, oh, it has a beard or a goatee or a mustache.
Fu Manchu is what a lot of people were saying.
Yeah, I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I was like, oh, I showed my dad. And, like, my dad is super busy with the team, so he's not always super – I guess he's more up to date with Mini corporate than the actual, like, oh, what's the new facelift? What's coming out, right?
Yeah.
He tries to keep up, but it's hard running a team and – doing all that. So I'm always the one showing him like mini memes and stuff like that. And he's like, okay. But he was like, that's an interesting look for a car. But he likes it. He thinks it's cool.
Well, I think the new JCWs look really good. What I like about the whole design of the car is it looks more squared off now on the facelift because everything like comes down more to the edges of the car. It just feels like it's like you got some nice, you got some like aftermarket wheels and like got them stanced out just right. It would look pretty solid, like planted, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. It just has a very planted look, which is not something the previous generation or previous model years had.
Yeah.
And but it is a look that not a lot of people. There's people out there who love it, people who hate it. I think it's nice because it hides that bumper beam. Because my joke.
You don't like the bumper beam?
Well,
I've seen people paint them and they look fine.
Well, yeah, my bumper beam though keeps fading.
Mine's faded right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have my vinyl guy wrap it at some point.
Mine is blue.
Yeah, mine was blue too.
I don't know what to do about it. I'm just gonna leave it until maybe I do the facelift on my car. You never know. They
wrap it in black vinyl.
Yeah, or spray paint it.
Yeah, or spray paint. There you go. That's
like I'm not trying to. I still like the gloss look. Like that's what we do for those little like the JCW, whatever the little front vents are from like where the brake ducts go. We just like half of the time we just spray paint those. Yes. Yeah, we just spray paint those.
Yeah, this is my new one that I have to install in my car because the paint's peeling on my current one.
Oh my gosh, you're just getting the worst. And then the GP3 one is like almost the same thing. It's just a little bit different.
the sales manager at the Mini dealership has the GP one on his JCW.
Oh, he's gonna get fined for Mini. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
He also
No.
has the GP grill.
So that's the thing we are struggling with right now. We got taken out, or the TC car got taken out in race 1 by people that probably shouldn't be on track. Not shouldn't be on track. I guess I'm more strongly opinionated on this because it's my family's team, but like half the guys that are in the TC field could probably think once or twice before they make a move. But we had our car, a Veloster pushed a Civic into us. The Civic spins us, and then the Veloster that is pushing both us and the Civic at this point tries to drive through both of us. And you can see it on the live stream of Race 1 at Indy. Literally is just powering through and just tries to take our nose off and literally drives through our car and destroys the GP3 front bumper and grill, which is like, I'm not saying it's hard to get. It's a little bit hard to get though. Like, I don't think you have to do VIN verifications for those, but still, it's not like many.
Not for your cars anyway, I don't think.
Nah, we might. Sometimes we do.
Because I did notice when the cars got the first LCI facelift, and I was looking at them, I'm like, oh look, they got new cars, and I'm like, wait a second. I started looking at the cars, and I'm like, no, they just put new headlights and taillights on them.
Which the taillights are easy, right? The new headlights are awful. Okay, I saw a lady in the comments of one of the mini groups I'm in saying she wants those. I said you're able to do it, but it's lots of work. And she's like, oh, can you just explain it in like 5 little things? I was like, no, you have to rewire the headlights.
Yeah.
And then you have to initiate them. So you have to have ISTA or whatever the BMW software is to initiate the headlights.
Yeah. See, I did the Union Jack taillight conversion on my car. I didn't use the aftermarket ones, which are just plug and play. I got OEM ones. I had to go into Beamer code and recode the taillights.
So, like, yeah, we didn't code anything for our Union Jack ones, but we're not on the road, right? So I'm okay with the flicker. You probably got the flicker effect, right? When you first turn on the car and they go.
I had a flicker effect and then like a check in, and then like not check engine, but a light, like a bulb out light that kept throwing. My thing right now is I got it all working perfectly now, except for when I have the hazards on and I hit the brakes, which is very rare. But if I have the hazards on and I hit the brakes, it'll throw a bulb out code, it like just blip up on the screen, and then it like goes away when I let off the brakes. It's just really strange. So there's something in the coding that I did that I forgot to switch over to, because like you can apparently go in there, you can switch everything from like halogen to LED.
Yeah,
which you have to like really go in and switch everything to LED.
Which my car came with halogens, and then I just put LED bulbs in, which I regret now, which I need to I kind of want to upgrade to the new headlights, even though those suckers are $1,000 a piece.
Yeah, the new headlights with the black insides are really nice, except they have the weather lights built into them now, which mine have cornering headlights, but I have the cornering beam. What I found out, though, is the GP3 did not have the new headlights, but it had the black insides of its headlights. You could just order GP3 headlights, technically.
Oh, I could. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So, like, our GP3-inspired race car here, the car that we built it off of had the Xenon. The 1 year, I think they used, or 2 years that they used that weird headlight. They said it's a Xenon, but I'm pretty sure it's a LED.
I think they're all LED. What was strange?
That's why we had trouble at Sebring, or no, it was Road America. We had to switch to halogen bulbs, but I was pretty sure it was. My phone's at 10%, so I guess we should be fine for a little bit longer. But
you should be fine if you had to plug it in. You could. I'm sure you could. But
yeah, I could try.
I do want to have some people ask some questions here. Someone said, "I want to get into racing minis. Where do I start?"
I would say autocross. Like, just go autocross your mini, and then there's SCCA, which is like B-spec minis, and that's semi-professional. And if you really have the funds and have the experience, go TCA to TC with us. We're the only people that can. We're not the only people that can have the cars, but we are the builders of. So if you want to buy if you want to run a mini in TCA or TC, we have to build the cars. We are the FIA.
What do your cars usually cost to build one?
The cost? a lot of money, too much money, not too much, but
My guess is probably twice the cost of a base model Cooper S.
yeah, I think the first couple of years it would take us. They were probably costing around $100,000.
So like 4 times the cost of a regular Cooper
That
S.
was when we first started, but now we've refined what we're doing. So I don't know.
What's funny is you guys had to build them, and then you go over to Europe and they build them in Munich all the time for the challenge, for the mini challenge.
Yeah, which is like, I love how the mini challenge cars looks, but like, are you serious? Like, cut us some slack here. Like Munich has, okay, what am I? Okay, Munich is good to a T.
No,
Mini Munich is good. BMW Munich is good also. Yeah. Okay, they're all good.
What I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is, they build them in house. You guys actually had to start from scratch.
Yep, pretty much.
And I heard that I think your dad mentioned to me that the 4-door that you drive was originally going to be a touring car or something.
Yes, a TCR car. We had the sequential paddle shift gearbox ready to go in it. It was already all taken apart. It was pretty much down to the bare chassis. And then it got axed by BMW of Germany. We got it approved by Mini all across the board. And then BMW Motorsports heard about what was going on.
They didn't want a 4-door race car?
They don't want any TCR car, I guess.
So how are you building wait a minute, so the other one's just a TC, not a TCR.
Yeah. But I guess that almost has helped us in the long run. Mm-hmm. Just with cost and how TCR right now is in America. I don't know if you guys follow it, but the Hyundais have oversaturated the series. There's like 8 of those suckers out there in a 12-car field.
Well, I almost think it's a shame. I think the JCW Club would make an amazing touring car.
Yeah, and it would almost look like the old Volvo touring cars,
unfortunately, Mini will not do it because BMW of Germany or BMW of Munich, Mini of Munich, whatever, they want the Clubman to be considered a luxury car. In fact, when the Mini dealership here did their Halloween party with the launch of the F54, they called it the Big Klabowski. So they had a whole party with it, a bowling themed party to launch this car, and apparently it got back to Mini of Munich, who basically sent out a note to all the other dealerships that said, "See this? This is how we do not want to market this car." And I'm like, you guys can't have any fun?
I think Mini right now should I don't know. I think it needs to be more. Yeah, they're getting out to their fun side. I think they need to think more out of the box. Definitely just marketing wise. Mm-hmm. I think they already think out of the box. We drive Minis. That's already out there. But to market the car properly, definitely for like kids my age that are now, I'm 18 now, mm-hmm. but kids that are looking to buy first cars or are into cars, like the Mini is a good car, but people don't know its true performance. Why don't you put on the commercial for the Mini JCW or Cooper S that it has pops and bangs, which I like it from factory. You don't have to do anything to the car, and it makes all these great sounds and it has a great exhaust. No, like why don't you put that in the commercial? That will draw people in. Yeah. Why do you think the Mustang gets so many supporters? I guess yes, it has good looks, but people love the sound.
And that was kind of the thing. That was kind of the thing with the JCW with the mini challenge events that they would do with JCW challenge events. It's like you go out there and you actually get to experience the cars, just see how great these cars are.
Yeah.
But now we haven't done any of them, and they're based out of Indiana as well. And
the Miles Ahead program.
We haven't.
I think they might have gone away with it. It hasn't been ran at the Speedway in like 4 years.
Well, I think the mini challenge event mini JCW challenge thing ended because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
When that started up, and I don't know if Ted was going to be restarting it again when things finally settle back down. I don't know. I'm hoping he does, because it'd be nice to get the JCWs back out there again and get people.
Maybe I can figure out to get a job there. Maybe I can get a job. Well, I work at an IndyCar team currently. Mm-hmm. And am going to another one, which my current team doesn't know of. So hopefully they're not watching this, because
I don't think I have any IndyCar teams watching my channel. I do have a lot of people from Plant Oxford that watch the channel.
But no, I work on Indy cars. That's my job ish. I
Sounds like
want to I want to do full time racing, but I got a job at a team over the summer, and it's just been working up from there. I just got hired at another team for pretty good pay for my age and good benefits. So hopefully I can
there you
get
go.
into Mini and have fun and go racing. So
What I'm trying to figure out is I was looking at the car behind you. I was trying to figure out what I could do to make my car look more like that.
it's really pretty simple. It's just wheels and a roll cage. It's not like we have any crazy flares, but like the flares that we made for the TC cars, like people already have those. We didn't know about that. Like we weren't, but like it's like people already have flares that look like that. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny is they actually look, I think they actually look better than the GP spats that are on the cars.
yeah, I know the
Yeah, I actually like the flares better. The flares on your guys' car better. I'm like, that looks good.
yeah, and it all fits up to the stock.
Well, it looks menacing. It looks mean, basically.
Yeah, but the only thing I guess we could fix is the structural integrity. That's why Mark's accident kind of happened how it happened. Um,
Yeah, but
yeah, it was just a guy that pulled out at the wrong time, and Mark was there, and wider wheels on a front wheel drive car, and 120 miles an hour don't mix well. So
yeah.
I
Well,
think,
I'm thinking you guys are going to probably have that car dialed in at some point, to where it's just,
yeah, it's just working out the kinks, right? We're
yeah,
making uh, more power than the car's used to, and the parts are used to. So
well, I'm sure that the little hatchbacks behind you were probably a bit of a basket case off and on when they first started them.
yeah, definitely when they first started. But I think right now they're super extremely reliable, and we don't touch anything on them. TC car is not too bad for only having what a little bit, not a full season, but most of the season. But it's already faster than the Type R.
Yeah, I mean, you've already built two of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's already faster than the Type R and other cars in its class. So we're not doing bad. It's just working out the kinks. And I think the biggest thing that has taken us out of most races right now is other drivers. I think that I guess let me get on this topic because I would like to vocally say it that
And especially before you run out of battery power.
yeah, that not shaming anybody that races in SRO, but definitely the TC class has showed that it has the most accidents, and just like every yellow flag we get was TC stuff.
Yeah.
The drivers aren't, I guess some of those drivers could think more about what they do, and definitely what happened at VIR was not on the drivers mainly. I think that was, oh, I might get in trouble for this, but who cares? I think it needs to be said. I think that was SRO's fault also. I think they should have done the restart different. As in, I don't know if you follow different endurance or sports car series, is that they start the faster cars on a restart up front and the slower cars behind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, SRO starts the slower cars up front pretty much and the faster cars behind.
There's an accident waiting to happen.
So, what do you think happens when the slower cars in front don't go fast enough and these faster cars behind are going 120 and then an accident happens?
Mm-hmm.
It was just a recipe for disaster. You had people making knee-jerk reactions, which, yes, I get it. Anybody would probably make the same reaction that Roy Block did. He did not mean it to be malicious at all. But it's just it shows you in our sport of how dangerous it can be. Luckily,
and your TC car already has a short wheelbase, so you're already shorter than every other car in that class, probably.
Yeah. So no, but I think next year we should look really good for SRO. This year was a little hard with BOP was really good. Just there's other cars in the class that well, I can call them cheaters because they got caught cheating twice. So the Hyundais did get caught cheating twice already in previous years.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Before you run out of battery power, I was curious about this. We know that Mini's coming out for redesigned hatchback. We know that they're going to probably make it an electric car biased. So do you think TC Racing would move into an electric car thing, or would they still keep running internal combustion?
Hopefully both. I think we can do both. I'm actually excited for the electric Mini to come Oh, it's already out.
Well,
I
I
would
think
love to be able. I would love to be able to get my hands on one, or us as a team, to see what we can do. I would love to drive one on the street. I have to find one or find somebody that has
I've
one.
driven several. I've driven several. They're fun cars. I would love to see Mini come out with an actual production pace setter.
Yeah,
Basically an electric Mini Cooper race car. I'm like looking at it, I was like, yeah, that's exactly how it should look from the factory. It should look just like that.
yeah.
Or
So
down, looking all nice. I actually know someone at the BMW dealership next door. He lowered his electric Mini. He put it on JCW coilovers. But the problem is he had to bring the rear end back up on springs, on lowering springs, because the battery is now 2 inches off the ground.
oh God, you don't want to. You don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's trying to lower this car, and it's like trying to. It's like a balancing act now to try to get it just right. But he wants to get it lowered because he wants to have just even more fun with this car.
Yeah.
It's an interesting car. It's going to be an interesting car when he's done with it. He's going to put a JCW front bumper on it too.
That should be cool. I need to see that at some.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I see him actually do it, I'll take a picture. I'll send it to you because it's
Yeah,
it's gonna be a pretty cool car.
Yeah, so hopefully, yeah, I'm trying to get another car. I guess like the car I drive isn't mine, so I think I'll get a Mini. It's either between a GTI and a Mini.
Oh, you gotta do the Mini.
I have to do the Mini. I know.
Yeah, you gotta do the Mini.
And right now they're at pretty good prices, and maybe I definitely like the new ones. Like I have my fair share of going fast on track. Like a street car to me is fine. I definitely like the new ones with the digital dash and the nice radio and Apple CarPlay. Like those. Yeah, I think that's the next car to get.
I've never been able to get into Apple CarPlay. Everyone's like, "Yo, do a video of Apple CarPlay." I hate it.
I love it.
Well, I hate it in the Mini is my problem. It's like you try to use it in the Mini interface for some reason is not as
okay.
good.
It is one of the worst interfaces to use with Apple CarPlay because it's just so botched almost.
And I know Mini is watching this, so they're probably going to now go in and they're going to try to fix the Apple CarPlay, but it's just I'm not sure if it's because of the size of the screen or it's just the interface with it, but like you get into like Ford or Jeep and their Apple CarPlay works like seamlessly.
Yeah, like even in my Eclipse, I had a Apple CarPlay radio put in, and that's a car from 1996 Mini.
Yeah.
And the Sony Apple CarPlay I had worked phenomenal. Other than it wasn't Bluetooth enabled, I had to have it plugged in.
Well,
but other than that, it was awesome.
Yeah, I actually had to. I know I had my phone plugged into the USB port in my car. I now have it just plugged into the cigarette lighter or auxiliary outlet, whatever you want to call it.
That's what I have to do also.
And I'm running it off of Bluetooth now because when I had it plugged into the USB, I was hearing clicking through the speakers all the time.
Really?
Yeah, and this is even after I swapped out my Harman Kardons for BAV sound speakers. So I now just listening to it completely through Bluetooth, and it sounds incredible. But I had to switch it over from a USB cable to something else to stop the clicking noises that were coming through. There were feedback basically coming through the car. So like it was basically like you'd hear certain songs and there'd be like vibrating noises every time there's like certain.
Yeah, my speakers in my car are like, I don't know if maybe it's just me listening. Like I don't listen to my music too loud, but I like to have my windows down and then I have to turn my music up. But like they make vibrations, like it's just they make weird sounds.
I think it makes vibrations because the car was taken apart at one point.
Yeah, so like the speedo in that car isn't even strapped down; it'll just like come completely out. So yeah, it's an interesting car, but I love it.
Well, I mean, considering what it was meant to be and what it didn't get turned into, I have a feeling if you had the opportunity to that would be a car, since you couldn't take it professionally racing, I would convert it into an autocross, just strip it and turn it into a race car and make it autocross racing. Build it the way you had intended to build it, but use it in autocross.
Yeah. The cool thing about even like this yellow car is it still has a VIN on it. It pretty much in Indiana, for a car to be street legal, it's turn signals, headlights, and brake lights.
Yeah.
That thing is literally street legal. I'm not even joking. We could go throw the plate that probably came on it, re-register it.
So it has a VIN on it still.
Yeah. And
that's funny.
This one doesn't. This isn't our car. This is a Canadian car from a different team. But the TC car has one. The first TC car had one. All the other TCA cars have VINs. So
So technically, they're technically street legal.
No, they're street legal. I could go take that out on the street and be like, "Oh, officer, sorry,"
Well,
but it has
you
a
would
VIN.
probably need some better tires for the street if you're gonna go
Yeah,
slow.
probably.
Now, do those have mechanical? Do those have upgraded diffs at all in them or anything?
Yeah, they're just limited slip.
Okay, so
We
they got
use like I think it's a Drexler or something like that. So
okay, and so the average horsepower on a Cooper S is 189. The average horsepower on a JCW is 228. So what are those running?
189.
Really?
Yes, they're detuned for the series we run them in. The
So
street car.
really, those are Cooper S's.
Yeah, pretty much. But like an IMSA trim, they were making 250 to 270 probably. So,
but in TCA trim, they're making less than my car.
Yeah, so in TCA trim, they're pretty slow. They should be a lot faster. That's why we put one in TC because we knew how fast they should be. So,
so what's the TC car doing then?
300, I think.
Okay, so it is a GP in every sense of the word then. In that regard.
Other than the engine, because you can't take the GP3 engine and put it on a manual trans, which I guess somebody has already tried. And yeah, I don't know if Mini might try to. I don't know if they will, but like I would think they might try to come out with a manual GP3. But I think the problem with creating a manual GP3 is that it will cost them so much more money to
re-engineer
that car. It will cost them.
That's probably why they're
like $40 million. It's some. I mean,
they're probably not going to. They're probably not going to. June of next year is when the 2023 model year comes out, and the 2024, the facelift or the redesigned car is not too far behind. So we're probably not going to see a manual transmission GP3.
And it's okay because that's enough power for it to be automatic. It doesn't need to be manual.
Yeah, but we probably will see an electric GP3.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. My phone is at 4% now, so I think we should.
Yeah. We probably should. I got one person commented here, the next gen Paceman or Aceman with the dedicated EV platform should be interesting because apparently they are working on a four-door coupe version of the Countryman for another car in the future. And it's supposed to be called the Paceman.
The Paceman? I thought they already had something called the Paceman. I thought it was like the two-door Countryman.
Yeah, they're apparently bringing the Paceman name back.
I liked the Paceman when people would lower them.
Oh, yeah. Those things look incredible lowered.
Yeah, so that should be exciting. I'm excited for anything new Mini and electric. So I think it's the future.
And I've been trying very hard to keep this channel Mini content only. The problem is it's like there was very little coming from Mini. So I have like the rest of this year, I have BMW videos locked into this thing. I have Mercedes, I have Porsche, just because I pulled whatever I could to make some videos. And I was trying to see if people would like them. And apparently this channel, because I've gone so long doing Mini only content, I'm gonna have to just stick with Mini on this channel because I think that's the only way it's going to do it. That being said, I did go out and drive a 2011 E90 M3 the other day that I'm going to do that I did a video on that I'm going to edit and I'm going to put it on this channel because, I mean, it's an M3.
Yeah.
My first time driving an M3 had the 7-speed SMT in it, but it was still just an incredibly fun car to drive, and it had 105,000 miles on it. They're selling for 27,000.
That's not bad at all.
Not really. It does look like the bumper's been bumped a few times. It does need like new kidney grills and then maybe a fix on the new bumper. Yeah. And as Sonic Liberation said, this is one of my avid fans and subscribers here. BMW is lost.
Yeah, I think they are lost.
Yeah,
definitely with the new design.
I mean, when you get to kidney grills that aren't really kidneys anymore, I mean, they're more
like a lung shape.
Yeah. I mean, here we go. This is the kidney grill for 2028. Yeah, there we go. That's the shape of it. Yeah, that's going to work perfectly. There we go. We're going to put that on the 1 Series.
Yeah.
It may cover up the headlight, but we'll just have the headlight shine through the kidney grills.
Yeah, we need more cooling.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's the funny thing. It's like, oh, we need more cooling. There's nothing going through the grills. They're shut on the backside.
Yeah, and they say they need more cooling, but like the side radiators, if you have the dual side radiators for like a JCW, those do more cooling than your actual radiator.
Well, the funny thing is, everyone thinks that grill up top is the thing that does all the cooling.
No,
I have a grill out of my Cooper Countryman, my Cooper Clubman that I had. There was nothing behind it. It is actually, I have the grill right here, actually. I keep spare parts of my old cars. That's the back side.
Yeah, I know.
It is sealed up.
Yep.
On the plus side, they did have nice little cutouts for your badge holder, though.
Yeah.
Which is something you didn't do on the current ones. I actually had to take the grill off my car to put a badge holder on it. But how much battery are you at now?
3.
3. All right. We probably should wrap it up since you're at 3. If we do another live stream next time, we'll make sure you have like at least 30, 40%.
Yeah, I better charge my phone next time. I think that's my you can ask my father. That's my biggest oh, my phone's dead. I can't do that. So
it's like where is he? Well, his phone must have died. Oh.
Yeah. Even though I do carry the phone on me in the race car, which has been interesting because people have either called me during a race or texted me and I can feel it. So that's a thing that happens.
Vibration in my pocket. Oh, I left.
Which everybody's like, silence your phone. It's distracting. I go, it's not distracting. I'm so relaxed in the race car. It's just like driving the road car. So like I feel it vibrating, and I just I'm able to reach down and just click the side button through my pocket, and it.
So basically he's silencing his phone while he's driving. There's a scary one.
No, I'm not texting and driving though.
Nope, there's a Gen Z racing driver right there. He has to send an Instagram post while he's driving around the corner.
Yes.
That's funny. That's speaking of Mini Cooper parts. I still got to install this sucker. I have a noise coming from my blower in my dash.
Yeah, that's always a thing. Mine has the same thing.
Well, you don't have that problem with the race cars because they don't have one.
Yeah, no. They do have we put a defroster, or we put the heated windshield, so because you can't get those in the U.S., but in Canada you can get the heated windshield.
I don't know why we can't get those in the U.S. Those would be a great thing to have.
I know, and in the snow you just it's gone.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Why can't we have those? Instead, I had a defroster. I already have a cracked windshield. I have a new one on order whenever.
How'd you crack your windshield? I got hit.
I had a rock fly up, and it hit me right by the VIN number. And I watched it within like 3 hours. It had moved, and then like within a day, it had traveled across like a foot across the windshield a little bit. I had the defroster on one day, and I watched it vanish. Or not vanish. I watched it like just continue along the windshield. I'm like, okay. So the day after I was supposed to replace the windshield, I got another rock in the other corner, and it cracked it. So I was like, well, got to get a new windshield. So I have a new windshield on order.
Yeah, no, I had my windshield. A rock hit it about this big, and it didn't do a single thing to it. It just bounced off the windshield and kept going. I was going 80, and it came out of a dump truck, and it was this big, and it smacked the windshield, and I went like that because I knew it was most likely going to break it, and it just bounced off.
So
the
trick is to avoid rock chips and cracking windshields. You just drive faster.
Yeah, the worst thing that has happened to my car, and this was recently, it has a bunch of hail damage now because we had a huge hailstorm that was like, it was breaking the cars around me's windshields. So luckily it didn't do anything bad. It just dented the roof a little bit.
That happened with my JCW Clubman. I ended up having 350 dents taken out of that car.
Oh God!
They took every single dent out of that car. You could not tell it was ever in a accident. But when it was at the body shop and they were marking where all the dents were, I went out and looked at it. They had all the little circles around every single little dent. I'm like, looks like a crime scene. They're like marking all the bullet holes on the car.
Yeah, I know.
But they took out every single one. There was not a single dent left on that car when it was all said and done. I think they even took out dents that were there when I bought it.
That's funny.
But it was crazy. But yeah, we're running low on battery power. And Sonic Liberation seems to be the only person now commenting in here, and I appreciate him for sticking around to the end of this. But we'll have to do another live stream at some point.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'm going to try to see at some point if I can get up to Indiana, because there's from
where are you?
I live in Kansas.
Oh, that's not that far. Come on.
No. I mean, aside from miles ahead, there's also you guys up there, and I've already told your dad I wanted to come up and visit there at some point and tour the shop. I'm thinking that would just be a bunch of cool videos to do up there. Just come up and see the racing team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'll have to try to make that trip at some point. But anyway, I wanted to thank you for finally coming on to
this. Yeah, no, thank you. I was sorry. I was just like, life has been busy. Like, definitely.
No, I completely understand. Understand.
A lot of family stuff. Ever since I did the double podium, it's everybody's like, oh, can you come by and show us the trophy? Like, we want to see your pictures. And it's like, okay. And it's like trying to manage all that on top of work and girlfriends and friends. And So
yeah, it's a busy. You already have an incredibly busy life at a young age.
yeah,
And it's just going to get more busy from there. Trust me.
yeah,
But anyway, I appreciate you coming on to the live stream. We'll have to do another one at some point down the road. Maybe when there's some more new mini stuff coming out, we'll have a discussion about what your thoughts are on those cars. I mean, we already know we already have a similar take on the what we think of the BMW stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, there's only one BMW coming out right now that looks good with the giant kidney grills, and that's the M3 Touring over in Europe.
yep.
And we're not getting it over here.
Sadly, because we get no cool cars here.
No, we don't get any of the cool wagons anymore. It's like, oh, they
No.
finally have an M3 wagon. We don't get it.
Yep.
We got the sedan's okay. The coupe is kind of eh.
Yeah.
It looks. Let's just say the M3, M4. The giant grills on those look a lot better than the regular 4 Series. At least they look more aggressive. The ones on the 4 Series just look. Well, can't really describe those cars.
Yep.
But anyway, I'm going to let you go before your phone completely drops. And I appreciate you coming on for the live stream. Stick around for a few seconds when I end it so I can sign off with you. But thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you all next live stream, next video. Go check out my playlist. You know the deal. I'll see you all later.